Are you ready to launch your podcast? It's time for Podcast Now with Restream, the live show that helps you plan, produce, and launch your podcast with the power of Restream. Here's your host, Ian Anderson Gray.
Well, hello! Welcome to episode 5 of Podcast Now with Restream. My name is Ian Anderson Gray, and I'm very excited to be your host today. We're going to be talking about how to create the perfect run of show for your live shows and podcasts. What on earth is a run of show? This is basically your structure. It's how you get more engagement. It's how you can make it much easier to repurpose your live shows into podcasts and other types of content. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm very excited about that. I also want to know if you are watching live or watching the replay. Let me know where in the world you are watching from. Just pop that in the comments. This is a live show, of course. And of course, if you have any questions, let me know. Because that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about runs of shows and all that kind of stuff. Let's see who we have watching live today. We've got the fabulous Melissa watching from just down the road. Hope you're doing well, Melissa. Are you enjoying the beautiful weather here in the UK? Robert Campbell is also here. Let's just see if I can put that on the screen, saying wait for it. And Tim Sawn is watching from over the pond, saying greetings from a soggy Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, Tim. It's yeah, the weather can't be good everywhere. The weather's been amazing here in Manchester in the UK. Hopefully the good weather will pop over to you very soon, Tim. Okay, well, just to let you know, as always, this show is powered by Restream, and you can find out more at iag.me/Restream. I'm using Restream Studio, and this is what I use for all of these shows on Restream, and it works within the browser. It's the easiest way to go live. If you want to share your screen, if you want to bring on guests, if you want to highlight comments, if you want to go live to lots of different places all at the same time, then Restream is for you. And you can get a whole month free if you go to iag.me/Restream. So definitely check that out. We're going live to like over 12 destinations today, maybe about 14 different places. We're going live to LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. Well, it's not really Periscope anymore, is it? Twitter, Twitter Live, whatever you want to call it. In fact, on Restream, you can broadcast to over 30 different destinations at the same time. So if you haven't checked out Restream, do. It is awesome. Let's see who else we've got here. We've got Earl watching, Earl Hall saying greetings. And we've got Carl Sullivan, who is also from down the road, just round the corner from me. It is a beautiful sunny day where you are. Okay, so what I want to know from you is, have you ever bothered putting together a structure or a plan for your live shows? Or do you just kind of press the button and hope for the best? And, sometimes live shows, you can do that. So it depends on the kind of live show that you have, or if it's just you, sharing your thoughts, or if you're a gamer and you're wanting to share you playing a particular game. Even still, I think it's good to have a plan, have a structure, because it just makes it so much easier for you if your brain goes to mush and there's certain things that you might forget. It's also really important when you want to get more engagement. So if you want to engage with your audience, your live audience or your replay audience, and of course that brings me on to something that's really, really important. And I'd love to know from you what you think about this. How many different audiences do you think we have when it comes to a live show that we repurpose into a podcast? Because it's not one. There's not one type of audience. I'm not talking about how many people are watching you live. I'm talking about how many different groups of people do you need to think about when you go live. And this is so important when you are broadcasting a live video. You've got to think about these different audiences. I've already mentioned 2 of them in this show. Now I can see we've got a very good student here. Melissa is here. She says 3. You are right. There are 3 audiences. So we're going to be talking about those 3 audiences in a bit. I will share with you what they are if you don't know already. Robert is watching from the beautiful Colorado. Hope things are well there. One day I will get to Colorado. Okay. Before we get on with the main structure of the show, I just want to share something with you. Last week, I had some technical problems and I had to finish the stream early. And it's because my MacBook Pro, for some reason, is just overheating and getting really slow. So I need to play around with that. But you know what I've done? I've nicked my kid's computer for this. And it just goes to show that with Restream Studio, you don't need the most expensive kit out there. I'm actually using my kid's Mac Mini for this. It's the new M1 chip, and it's just amazing. It's just doing a really good job. In fact, I might actually just nick it permanently. No, I can't do that. I'll feel really bad. But if you are a Mac user or are thinking about going to use a Mac, then do check out the Mac Minis. The M1 chips are perfect for live streaming. Ideally, I'd recommend the 16 gig version, although you'll probably be fine with the 8. But yeah, it works really, really well. So just I thought I'd share that with you. It's working really, really well. Okay, so let's look at what we need for your live shows that you're going to repurpose into a podcast, because that's what this show's all about. As I've said many times on this show, if you're spending all that time and effort going live, why not then repurpose that into other types of content, whether it's turning it into a blog post, which is what I do, or turning it into a podcast. You've got that main segment of your show. You can cut off the beginning, maybe, and the end, and then just take that and make it into a podcast. And last week I was talking about audio branding. I've talked about how you can host your podcast. I've got some great guests coming up. We're just waiting for them to give final confirmation that they can do it. But I'm really excited about that. We're going to be talking about all aspects of how you can turn your live show into a podcast. But you see, this is why having a structure, having a run of show is so important. So first of all, what is a run of show? Oh, and by the way, I completely forgot, before I get onto that, just to let you know that very shortly, this Friday, the sales page of my next Launch Your Live course is going to be out. So you can actually go to iag.me/LYL and you can sign up for the waiting list, and I'll let you know when it starts. It's this Friday is when I'm launching the sales page, and it happens. The course starts a week. Let me get this right. Yeah, a week on Monday. A week on Monday is when it starts, and this will help you launch your live show and podcast in just 10 days. So definitely check that out, and there's loads of resources in there. I've got a little mini course on how to use Restream as well. So check that out, iag.me/LYL, which stands for Launch Your Live. Okay, right. Let's talk about what a run of show is. And a run of show, TV programs, particularly those news programs, for example, they all have a run of show, a structure which will, for example, it will have a technical aspect to it. For example, like videos that you might want to play, like an intro video, a countdown timer, outros. You may want to go to your guest or change your camera and things like that. But it's also what you say. So for example, it could be your main hook, how you hook people in. It might be at this point you want to look at and see what your live audience are saying and structure it that way. It's basically a structure that goes through all the technical aspects, all the scenes, all the videos, and also what you say, so that you know exactly what you are doing. And this is vital for so many reasons. One of them is that for most of us, if you're using Restream Studio, you're going to be doing the job of many people in a traditional broadcaster. So traditional broadcasters will have the host, the person actually on the camera. That's me at the moment. They'll also have somebody moderating comments on Twitter and things like that. Well, again, that is me. Thanks to Restream Studio, I can see the chat. I can see everyone who is commenting. I can see Melissa is watching on Facebook, for example. We've got MC Malal, if I can pronounce it, sorry, Malayali Craft. Sorry, I butchered your name there, watching on YouTube. And also Robert, who is watching on YouTube as well. And asking a technical question here. I have a server on Linode. It's running Owncast. Can I use that? I honestly... I don't know. I don't know what Owncast is. But with Restream Studio or any Restream, if you're using a tool like OBS Studio to broadcast to Restream, one of the cool things is that as well as Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitch and all these channels, Restream also accepts RTMP. So this is just the protocol that you can use to broadcast live video on. And so you could, for example, with Amazon Live is a good example. Amazon Live at the moment, the only way to add that, just because of the way Amazon Live is, you have to nab the RTMP stream key and URL and add that into Restream. And so I can then broadcast directly to Amazon Live as well as all the other places from Restream. And so if there are other services that you want to broadcast to that Restream doesn't have an actual special link with because maybe there's no API, then you can add that in and broadcast. I don't know whether that's what you're asking for, Robert, but yeah, it's really, really amazing, all the different places that you can broadcast to. And while we can get all technical, there's also transcoding as well. So if you want to broadcast to YouTube in full high definition, you can do that. But if, for example, Amazon Live doesn't accept full HD, then you can downgrade the quality using Restream transcoding. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so we talked about the 3 different audiences that you need to think about when you go live. And this is why having a runner show is so important, because you've got the people, you at the moment are either going to be watching live or you'll be in the future watching the replay. So those 2 audiences are very different. If you're watching live now, then you are aware of other people who are commenting and watching. You know that you're not the only person watching, depending on the channel that you're watching on, because obviously I'm broadcasting to lots of different places. So on YouTube, you should see that there are lots of other people commenting there, and Tim and Melissa you're watching on, and Carl, you're watching on Facebook. So you should be aware of those other people. And of course, what Restream can also do is they can with the bot, they can relay the comments from one channel to another channel. So again, you are aware of each other. So it's more of a community feel. It's a party atmosphere. And when I refer to you watching, it's kind of, you'd forgive me if I spoke in the plural. So thank you so much, guys, for watching this. However, I still think it's a good idea to not speak in the plural, to speak more intimately to you watching, because if you're watching the replay, you don't really have any of that because you're watching on your own. You're watching in your own time. And you might be aware of comments in the chat on YouTube or comments on Facebook or LinkedIn, but it's, you're not watching live, so it's more of an intimate experience. And so you want to speak to your audience in the future, to your replay audience in the singular, and just so that your replay audience will feel loved. And of course, you need to think about if you spend too much time speaking to your live audience and replying to comments and talking to people, then your replay audience are going to get really bored and frustrated. However, if you don't talk to your live audience at all and don't reply to any comments, then they're not going to feel loved either. So having a structure for your live shows is really important. And you've got to think about your third audience. Your third audience is really important if you are repurposing it into a podcast. And I can see some more comments coming through. I will get back to you. But your podcast listeners are very similar to your replay audience. They are in the future. They are also going to be in the singular. So it's a very intimate experience. They're on their own. They're not aware of any comments actually, because they are listening in a different situation. They're not watching on YouTube or Facebook. So you've got to think about that as well. But the important thing here is that they are listening. They can't see anything on the screen. So you need to think about describing what's on the screen as well. So that's something that you need to think about as well. So those are your 3 audiences: your live audience, your replay audience, and your podcast listeners. Do think about those as you go through. And I have different segments for my live shows so that I can think about those different audiences. Hope that makes sense. Looks like I did kind of answer the question, Robert. I hope I did. Okay, thanks. Maybe let me know what Owncast is, because I don't know what that is. Is it a live streaming platform? Let's have a look here. Comment from Chris. Thank you, Chris, for this comment. Do you see comments from different platforms like Facebook and YouTube on your Restream and are able to respond to them in real time? Yes. Absolutely. And this was a game changer when Restream added this, because multi-streaming, multicasting, whatever you want to call it, the ability to broadcast to more than one destination at the same time is awesome. I mean, let's face it, we all want to reach more people. We want to increase our engagement and all that kind of stuff. But what's the point in broadcasting to all these different destinations if I can't engage with my audience? It's not going to make you feel loved, is it, if I don't see those comments? And so one of the great things about Restream Studio and Restream in general is that I can see the comments. So for example, if I share my screen now, let's just share my entire screen. It's going to look a bit weird, this, by the way, but let's just do this anyway. Okay, is this going to work? Okay, I just need to do that. And then I'll just hide your comment. So yeah, excuse the infinite loop that you see there, because I'm sharing a screen which is of my screen, of my screen, of my screen. But you can see there on the right, these are all the comments from all the different channels. So I can see we've got people from YouTube and Facebook. I don't think I've had any comments from anyone on LinkedIn, but most of the major channels support this. So Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, they all support comments coming into Restream. So I can see them. I can also highlight those on the screen. As you can see here, Chris, I'm highlighting your comment on the screen. Now you say, and of course, then I can respond in real time as well. So actually, sorry, I should have just put that back. So I can see here. So for example, to yours, let's just highlight yours. Let's maybe kind of do one higher up here. So Earl, I don't know if I said hi to you, Earl. I think I did. But anyway, so if I click on those three dots, I've then got the option to reply, block the user on Facebook, or add the user to a block list. Now, I'm certainly not going to do that to you, Earl. But if I did have any spammers here and they're being a nuisance, then I can block them on Facebook or on YouTube. But I can also reply to that person. So I can say, Earl, thanks so much. Great to, actually, hold on. Great to see you here. So actually, you probably can't see that. Hold on one sec. Let's get rid of that. So now I've responded to Earl on Facebook. So it works really, really well. I love that ability. Okay, cool. Oh, okay, Robert, thank you for clarifying. I probably should know this. Owncast is self-hosting for your website and storage for content. They complement your service, I believe. Okay, I need to look into them. That's awesome. Oh yeah, and of course the other thing that you can do is you can add a chat overlay. So if we have any more comments, if you could comment, then that would be great. And then we should see that on the right-hand side in a little bit. I'm going to have to turn off my graphics though, so that you don't see those. What's going on there? Okay, right. So cool. Where did we get to? Let's look. So yes. Right, the first thing that you need to do is write the first thing that you need to say for all your live streams, because of something I call brain mush syndrome. I'm just going to switch that chat off actually. But basically, yeah, the chat overlay will put all the comments that will happen on the right-hand side there. Brain mush syndrome. Okay, let me know in the comments if you've ever suffered from this. You press the start stream button when you're going to go live, and your brain just turns to mush because you've completely forgotten what you were supposed to say. And you just get exasperated and your brain just goes to mush. This has happened to me so many times, I would not like to say. And so what I do, the first thing that I do is I put, so for example, I've actually got it on a teleprompter. What's the first thing that I've got here? Let's have a look. The first thing that I say is... Okay, so I've got the run of show, got pre-show, got the countdown, and then I've got welcome to episode 5 of Podcast Now with Restream. Today, it's all about creating the perfect run of show for your live shows and podcasts. So I've actually written out the first thing that I need to say word for word, because sometimes your brain can go completely to mush. And not only that, I think it's really important that you put the last thing that you need to say as well. So I always liked, for example, with my Confident Live marketing show, I always like to end with, and so I encourage you to level up your impact, authority and profits using the power of Confident Live video. See you soon. Bye. And I actually write all of that down because when I'm doing a live show, I've given so much, and particularly as an introvert, I'm using so much of my energy that when I get to the end of the show, I sometimes forget what I need to say, and I've stumbled over my words or just, said absolute gibberish. So actually put that on your run of show is so important. I'm really glad that I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one, but MC Lito says I have had that. Yes, I think so many others have. And Melissa says, yeah, me, definitely, as compared to law exams. Oh my goodness, it's a big, big issue for so many of us. So that's the first thing that I think you need to do is write down that the first thing that you want to say. And what is the first thing that you want to say? Well, that is really a hook that will hook your live viewers and your replay audience into what you're going to be talking about today. So I obviously explained what it is that I'm going to be talking about. There could be something really exciting that you're going to reveal later on in the show that you might want to put into that hook as well. You also want to introduce you and the name of the show. So that's often what I will do. I will say, hello, my name's Ian Anderson Gray. This is the Podcast Now show from Restream. And in today's show, we're going to be talking about and you will learn at the end of the show, you're going to learn these 3 things so that you can make a massive impact on your live shows. I just made that up. But yeah, coming up with a hook is so important. So a question I get asked a lot is, how do I get more engagement? And this is a difficult one, particularly as you start, because if you don't have that many people watching you live, if you've got like 1 or 2 people watching you live, getting those 2 people to comment is going to be a bit more of a challenge. And so what I would say to you is, don't get overly obsessed by that number that is in the top left-hand side of your screen. Because if it is really low to begin with, don't worry. If you keep on doing this, if you keep on being consistent, you will increase the number of people watching you live. But first of all, you need to focus on the audience from the future, your replay audience. In most cases, 99% of cases, you will have significantly more people watching you live than your replay. So focus on your replay audience first. And also focus on the fact that this can be repurposed into a podcast and into other types of content as well. So first of all, focus on that, and also let your replay audience know and your podcast listeners know how they can get involved next time and watch you live. That's really important because you want to let them know how they can do it, but you also need to know when they can do it. When are you next going live? This is why consistency, going live at the same day, the same time every single week, is really important so that you can let your audience know. Now, there are loads of other things we could talk about here to do with promotion. I'm going to talk about that on a different show. You can use things like Facebook Messenger bots, you can use email, you can use social, but basically just don't worry so much about your live audience, because over time, if you're consistent, you will get more people watching you live. So when it comes to when you do have more people watching you live, then you just need to love your audience. You need to make sure that you are asking them questions. You need to make sure that you are engaging with your audience and answering those questions as well. Now, the structure I have for this is I will talk about one thing, one of my points first. I will always let my live audience know if I see a comment. I will get back to you, and I can see Robert. I can see that you've put a question down there, and I will get back to you. But make sure that you talk about your first point and then get back to your audience so that they feel that they are being loved and that you are answering their question. Get them involved. Ask questions. People love to ask questions or tell them a bit more about you. And at this point, I would love to know more about where you are. If you're watching live or watching the replay, how many live shows have you done or live streams have you done? And what is stopping you from taking things to the next level. What do you want to improve? How can I help you? How can I support you with that? So in terms of getting more engagement, make sure that you're engaging with your audience. Also, another great tip is just to make it really easy for your audience to comment. So for example, if you're asking a question, what's your favorite food, then that's probably okay, because it's probably just one word. But you could also say, what do you prefer, Indian food or Chinese food? Just type 1 for Indian and 2 for Chinese. And then if people are watching on their phones, they can just answer that really quickly and easily. And if you want to know what my favorite food is, it's definitely Indian food. I love Chinese as well, but there we go. Robert is asking a question. Do you have... I assume you mean like a blueprint for what you are talking about. Yes, I in my Launch Your Live course, I've got all of the blueprints there, but I'm actually going to share with you later on in the show. So if you just stick with me, I'm going to actually share my template on the screen so you can see that. But you can actually, if you check out my Launch Your Live, you can actually download all of this yourself. But it's actually very simple. So when I show you this in a little minute, you can make your own very, very easy. Countdown, hook, 1 paragraph tying it together. Yes, definitely. Love that. Martin Buckland is in the house watching on Facebook. Today will be my 51st Tuesday at 2 live stream. That is amazing. My goodness, Martin. I'm so proud of you. That is awesome. 51. That is what I'm talking about, being consistent. And Martin won't mind me saying this, but Martin started off like being allergic to live streams, being really scared about doing them, having this kind of mental block. And now we just can't stop him. He's doing some awesome stuff. And I love what you do, Martin. So thank you so much for that. Let's see. So MC Lito saying, I'm watching from Osaka, Japan. Great to see you. Japan is a country I would love to go to. I've been live for about 6 or 7 times now. I absolutely love it. That is awesome. You've got the bug. But I want to expand my audience. I stream twice weekly now, and I'm focusing on being consistent. That is the key. That really is the key, being consistent. So I'll come back to that comment in a bit. So it's just about being consistent, because at the beginning it can be a little bit depressing. I don't know whether you found this. You might not have that many people watching you live, but if you keep being consistent and if you keep on letting your audience know, if you love your audience, then you will grow your audience and you will get more engagement. There are other things you could think about. For example, are you broadcasting at the right time when your audience are likely to be there? Yeah, just check that out. And if there's anything else that I can help you with, I'd love to know where you're broadcasting to. Are you broadcasting to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, other channels? Let me know. We've got, who we got? Quaker Viewing watching on D Live. This is, I think, my first ever D Live comment, which is awesome. Thank you for that. It's great to see you. Hope you're doing really well. So let's go back to what I was talking about. So we talked about brain mush syndrome, talked about how you can get more engagement. Okay, this is the next thing. Before I actually share my run of show with you, what do you do with it? Do you imprint it on your retina, on your glasses? Where do you print it out? Now, normally I would print it out. I'm a bit nervous. My printer, just before I started, I realized it had a paper jam. I always recommend having a printout, a hard copy of this, because if you rely too much on technology, what if the technology doesn't work and you can't see your run of show? That's happened to me before. Is not good. So make sure that you have a printout somewhere in front of you, so you know what you can actually see where you are, and you've got all the points written down there. That's really, really important. But you could also have it on screen, or you could have a teleprompter as well. Now, that's really annoying. I don't think because I'm using a different computer, I can't show you my teleprompter because I need to install another app, EcoCam. I don't think I can do that while I'm go live. Can I? Epoch Cam. Let's see if I can do that. Nothing quite like trying to do things at the same time. If I just download that. So yeah, what I was going to talk about here is the idea of having a teleprompter. Now, teleprompters are completely and utterly optional, but I like this because it just means that I can look at you through my camera, and I can then I can also see what my show notes are directly on there. So that works really well. And I've got my little remote control here, so I can move up and down. That works really well. Okay, Epoch Cam. I'm going to download this, and then it just means that I can then show you, but this might not work at the same time. Anyone heard of Epoch Cam? Basically, you install it on your iPhone. I think it works on Android phones as well. Okay. Which one is it? Is that the right one? Probably that one. And then install that. I have to put in my password. And then let's see what happens. Okay, is this going to work? Hello. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Is it? There we go. I think you can probably hear me now. I'm really sorry about that, guys. I have no idea what happened, but basically my Rodecaster Pro decided to just not work. So that's what I did. I just restarted my Rodecaster Pro and it worked. Okay, hopefully that still works. Well, thank you so much for bearing with me. And it just goes to show that it doesn't matter how many times you go live. You know, that I've broadcast over 300 shows over the years, and sometimes things go wrong. Particularly if you do what I just did and try and install something live on a show. Never do that. Okay, do not do what I tried to do there. So thank you, Robert. Thank you, MC Lito. Thank you, David. Can you request a song now? You could. Whether I will sing it is another matter. La-da-da. I could sing a song for you, but I won't. Anyway, so if you did comment before, let me know what you said. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's just really annoying. Okay, so we talked about teleprompter. Do you print it out? So basically, I recommend a teleprompter, but you don't need to start off that way. Absolutely not. So I want to. You've been waiting very patiently. I want to share with you my show notes and my setup. There's another question I just want to, that I do get asked this quite a lot. How long should my live streams be? And the answer to that is, of course, it depends. There are so many different live shows out there, types of live shows. You know, I know people that go live for 2, 3, even 4 hours. It's like a mega marathon show. I even know somebody who broke it up into groups of, I don't know. They went live for like 24 hours or even longer. But in general, I would say you want to broadcast for at least 15 minutes. 15 minutes is kind of the minimum. I know people that broadcast like short 3 or 4 minute ones, but the evidence shows, the research shows that when you get up to about 17 minutes, that's when your peak engagement will happen. That's when you'll reach the peak in terms of the number of people watching you live and the amount of engagement. So if you're going to stop earlier than that, then you're not going to reach that top engagement potentially. So that's something to think about as well. And you also want to think about just testing these things out. So for me, I find 45 minutes to an hour is about right. But if the show's going really well and you've still got loads to talk about and your guest is amazing, then by all means, make it longer. I would just say try and be consistent after a while. So once you've worked out what works, stick with it, because then your audience are going to know where they are. And if you go on really, really longer than you normally do, then it's not, that could be potentially a bit frustrating. So yeah, just some thoughts on how long your live streams could be. Thank you. Great recovery. Yeah, keeping it cool. It comes from experience of lots of things going wrong. Let it go from Frozen. Please no. No, let it go. No, we're not doing that. It just makes me feel Anyway, sorry if that's your favorite song. I don't know. I just think I saw that movie too many times when my kids were younger, and I just can't do it. So let's share my screen. And let's go to, where is it on my, so a Chrome tab, actually no, let's not do that. Let's go to my notes. Okay, and let's share this. So I use Google Notes, Google Drive for all of us, Google Docs. And I basically create a different document for every single one of my live shows. So for example, this is episode 106. I've got the title there. I've got the title when this is going to go live. So this was on March 9th. I've got it in my time, but also in Pacific. And then I've got the blurb. I call this the blurb, but basically this is what I'm going to be posting on those channels. So on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube. So I've got the hook there. Want to boost your confidence in front of the camera and communicate more effectively with your audience? Do you feel like something is getting in the way? In this episode, I'm joined by actor and teacher David H. Lawrence the 17th. Okay, so I've got that. And then that then just gets pasted into Restream when I next go live, when I next schedule my event. Some of this is optional. So for example, this bit here is I'm going to only paste in the ones for groups because I want Facebook, I want to allow people to give their own permission to show their name, which you can do by clicking on that link. But this bit here is my run of show. And so the way I segment my Confident Live show is I have a pre-show part which has a countdown. It's me welcoming to my audience. I have an intro and then I chat with my audience. And then it's the main part of my show. And this is the bit, so I cut off that bit. I trim that bit off for the replay audience. The replay audience and the podcast listeners will not see that. So that means I can start with my hook. And the hook is exactly the phrase that I just said before, which is, hello, my name's Ian Anderson-Gray. And in this episode of the Confident Live Marketing Show, I'm talking with, I won't go through it all there, but I've written that out because that, again, is counteracting that brain mush syndrome. I then go through all the things that I need to remember to talk about, such as the episode number, what I'm talking about in today's show, the frequency. For example, I'm going live every Tuesday and Thursday, broadcasting to Facebook, YouTube, show notes, how people can subscribe to find out more about it. And then I go into here where I've got the bio of my guest, and then I've got section number 1. So I break it up into different sections. So section number 1, I've got 4 questions that I'm going to ask my guests. So how did you get into acting? How did you get into live video? Have you got any embarrassing moments? The camera can do strange things to our brains. Why is that? And how can we boost our confidence in front of the camera? And then I have a reminder. So this is basically for people who have just tuned in, or for podcast listeners who've forgotten which show they're listening to. So I'll say, if you just joined, you're listening or you're just watching Podcast Now with Restream. And in today's show, we're talking about how you can create an engaging and powerful run of show to boost your engagement. Then I will chat with my audience, and then we'll mention my next sponsor. Then I've got another couple points there. So this is section number 2. Then I've got, I don't know why I've got a reminder there, because that's probably not useful right at the end there. After I've chatted with my audience, I will then reveal the tease. So this is something I forgot to mention right at the start. This is something that you're going to share with you mentioned to your audience that you're going to share at the end of the show. So this is something new and exciting. And if you stick around until the end of the show, I'm going to share this with you. So you then reveal that. Then it's your end of show. I've not actually written down here my final bit, my final tagline, but I normally write that down. But I just remind people when we're next going to go live, how they can subscribe, and also the podcast as well. And then I have my end tagline there. So that's how I do that. And I'm going to show you something that I'm working on, which is a run of show template in Google Sheets. So if you have any questions on anything that I shared there, then let me know. But let me just share this with you. This is my live show planner, which I'm currently working on. So the point of this is you have to then think about the overall point of the show. So you've got the name of the show, the host name, when you go live, the tagline as well. So what's the tagline for your show? And then what's the call to action for people to subscribe to the show or find out more about it? So in this case, to be notified about each live show, sign up at confident.live/subscribe, and my handy Facebook Messenger bot will notify you. So that link actually works. If you go there, my Messenger bot will actually then kick into action. Once you've done that, you then need to think about each individual episode. So in this, I've written down my episode number, the date, the title, the description, the hook, what today's show is about, the teaser, the reveal as well. And for example, if you have different themes, so in my show, I have 3 different themes. I either talk about tech, I talk about the fear of getting in front of the camera and the mindset side of things. And I also talk about marketing. So this episode here is about marketing as well. And then I've got information about my guest. And then we go to the next one. This is my run of show. And this is how a true run of show would look like. Normally runs of shows would also have the timings in there. I don't think we need timings as such. I don't think I need to be so worried about like how long things take, but that might be different for you. So I can see that I've got my countdown that I have. So I can play that. Then I've got the first couple of sentences that I say. So welcome to episode 97 of the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. I then got the intro, which I haven't written in there. Then I chat with my guest and my audience. Then I've got the hook, followed by my bumper video, which is what I played right at the beginning of this show, which is just the intro to the show. So I think having it this way, having your intro, then you've got housekeeping, which is basically telling people how they can find out more about the show and when you go live. Then you've got your live interaction. Then you've got introducing your guest. Then you've got 1 to 3 sections. So you ask your questions, you engage with your audience. Then you go to section 2, reminder to your audience what you're talking about. And then you go through your next couple of points. And you do it that way. And then finally, you end the show. So I say when I'm next going to go live. And then my end tagline, so helping entrepreneurs level up their impact, authority, and profits through the power of confident live video. So that's what I do. That is my live show planner. And you don't have to go into so much detail there, but I think it is really important to have a structure so that you know exactly what you're going to be talking about. So David Hunt, I am going to forgive you for asking me to sing Let It Go from Frozen. And I'm going to hopefully help you answer this question. So how do you get the messenger bot on your live stream such that it relays the comments from one system to another? Okay, so there's 2 different things here. The Facebook Messenger bot that I was talking about before is very different to what you're talking about here. This is a service I use called ManyChat. And what you can do with ManyChat is that when people comment, you can get the Facebook Messenger bot to reply to that person and send them, for example, you could have a free guide that you send them or put them into this like series of comments and it's really, really cool. If you haven't checked out ManyChat, then do that. But you're talking about something a little bit different here, and you're talking about relaying comments from one system to another. Now, let's see if I can do this. So this is within Restream. Okay, yeah, you've clarified it here. What I meant was, how do you get the Restream bot as a moderator to relay the chat messages from Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, etc.? Okay, so let's just, what I'm going to have to do here is open the chat app in a new, no, I don't want to do that. I certainly don't want to do that. It was about to let me go to a different system. Okay, so open in browser. Okay, so I'm going to go to share screen. Okay, just bear with me while I try this. Chrome tab, Restream chat. Okay. Okay, so in Restream, you can then, in Restream Studio, on the left-hand side, you can go to the chat app. And then right down at the bottom, if I click on settings, you then got the option for appearance, embed in stream, reply commands. And by the way, reply commands are really cool. So I've got here, so if I type in, I've set these up ahead of time. So exclamation mark 1A, well, if I type that into the chat, I will get welcome to Podcast Now from Restream, a brand new show all about podcasting. So if I just do that now, I'm going to put exclamation point 1A. You should then see that in the chat. So that's what that is. But let's go to bot on the left-hand side here. So so all you need to do here is just check that box. So relay automatically forwards all incoming chat messages from each platform to all the other active platforms set up in Restream. All Restream bots will be promoted to moderators on relay supported channels. So all you need to do is just check that box there. That's what you do. It works really, really well. So I hope that answers your question. Robert Campbell says, ManyChat is from Neil Patel. He's awesome. Neil Patel is awesome. I didn't realize he had anything to do with ManyChat. Maybe he has. I don't know. But anyway, it is awesome. And Neil Patel is awesome. Definitely. Jake the Ninja is watching on YouTube. Hi, great to see you. David said, that's it. I'm glad it's it. Okay. So where did we get to? We talked about, so I've shared with you my live show planner, and I've also shared with you my run of show. The other thing I wanted to share with you just as we end is, let me just stop sharing my screen and then let's go to my live show plan. This is something else that I would recommend that you do. Okay, let's go back to here. Okay, hopefully you can see this. Okay, so this is my planning document, and I recommend that you do this for your live show, particularly if you're going to repurpose this into a podcast. So what I've done here is I've put the summary down here. This is basically what my live show and podcast is all about. Then I've talked about who my audience is. So in this case, for my other show, it's established entrepreneurs who have an online-based business and they want to level up their impact authority using live video. And they're based in the UK, Canada, Australia, and the rest of Europe as well. And then a little bit more about myself, an intro, an outro, and then 3 themes. So I do think it's a really good idea to come up with 3 different themes for your show. This just means it's so much easier to come up with ideas for your episodes and content. So I've got 3 main themes here. Number 1 is camera confidence, mindset, and presentation. And then I've got some tags there, some just keywords, I suppose. Number 2 is tech and gear confidence. And 3 is content marketing confidence. And that really, really helps with coming up with those ideas for your live shows and podcasts. And I highly recommend doing that. Now, the other thing that I think is really important is to actually share what your promise is. What is your promise to your audience? So the promise of this show, the podcast now with Restream, is at the end of watching these episodes, you have all the skills and the ability to go live with confidence with the tech and the mindset side of things, but you'll be able to launch a podcast from all of this. I'm sharing all the different things that you need to know to launch a podcast with confidence from your live streams. And so that is my promise for this show. And that's really important because you need to be really laser focused in that. Otherwise, your audience are going to get restless and bored. Then what are your reasons for doing this? Because I'll tell you why in a minute, but so why you need to have this. But my reasons for this live show, so this is my other show. It's for brand awareness as a confident live video expert. It's to promote my products, to build relationships with guests and sponsors, and to be able to repurpose into videos on YouTube, Facebook Live, a blog post, podcast, and other channels. So why do you need to write down your reasons for this? And this is particularly important if you're thinking about making this into a podcast, because I'm not going to lie to you, growing a podcast is hard. And there's going to be times right at the beginning when you do this, when you're going to wonder why you're doing it, because podcasts take a long time to grow your audience and you don't get that much feedback. So you've got to think about that as you do it right at the beginning. You know, a lot of podcasts, they frizzle out about episode 12. And so if you know why you're doing it, that's going to give you much more help with your willpower as you go through this, and it's going to clarify that in your mind. So whether you're going live only or whether you're also doing a podcast, that really, really makes it's so important to do that. It really, really is. So yeah, thank you so much for all your comments today. David Hunt, the relay bot is awesome. Restream is awesome. David also says the live show planner and run of show is awesome too. Thank you, David. You are awesome. We don't tend to say awesome that much in the UK, but I'm definitely using it in at the moment. I think you are all awesome in this room. It's great to see you guys here. There's a comment from Robert also saying, that's what I need, man. Do you have a workbook? So if you go to my blog, iag.me, you can find out I've got loads of blog posts that will help you when it comes to live streaming. Also check out Launch Your Live, iag.me/LYL. In fact, let me just put that in the comments as well. Even if you can't join this time, I will be doing loads of this kind of stuff in the future. So I will be sharing loads of stuff. LYL, there we go, in the comments. MC Lito says, how can we get updates on those Google Docs you are working on? So the best thing really is to connect with me on Facebook. You can find me if you just go to facebook.com, you can go there. Or actually, do you know what? The best place to go is my messenger bot. So it's confident.live/subscribe is the place to go. So if you go to there, you can also get in touch with me. Just send me a message. I'm very happy to help you out there. We've got DD Writers in the room. Great to see you. Hope you're doing really well. I haven't seen you for a while. Hope you're having fun. I think we are out of time. But it's been great. I've really enjoyed today's show. I hope you have too. I hope you've got loads out of it. If you do have any questions, then do hit me up and I'm happy to help. Do check out Restream Studio. It is the easiest way to broadcast live from your browser, and you get a whole month free if you go to iag.me/Restream. Don't forget that, iag.me/Restream. It's also been really encouraging, despite my issues with my technical issues earlier. The Mac Mini has been really good today, so that has been very impressive. Well, anyway, we are out of time. Thank you so much for watching today. It's been where's my button gone? There we go. That's what happens. Your brain goes to mush at the end of these shows, doesn't it? So I would love to help you launch your podcast from your live shows. And I will be here next week, of course, at the same time, which is 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Pacific, isn't it? At 12 noon Eastern. And that is 5 p.m. here in the UK. Thank you, Robert. It's been great to see you. And MC Lita, thank you, Lito. Thank you so much for today. So I will just leave you with this. I really want to encourage you to launch your podcast. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, what are you waiting for? I'll see you next week. Bye.